essentially what ends up happening is the marketing folks become a resource for the sales team. And they're not strategically put on the same level, where we've proven time and time again that if marketing is done right, sales actually happens a lot easier.
Before starting Tiny Marketing, I was in corporate marketing for 10 years. I saw a lot of pointless fighting between marketing and sales. But the truth is, marketing and sales need to work together as one business development unit. Sales can sell so much better with the right message and marketing supporting them. And marketing can create more effective marketing with the support of sales. After all, they are the ones in front of prospects and customers every day. They know their challenges better than anyone else. When marketing and sales join forces, you get the gold. I'm Sarah Noel Block, and this is Tiny Marketing. Today, I'm sharing my interview with Andy Buyting, the founder of Tulip Media, where he talked about his Smarketing approach, combining marketing and sales into one big business development unit.
So my name is Andy Buyting, and I'm the CEO and founder of Tulip Media Group, and we are a specialized digital and print marketing firm that our mission is to help marketing managers and coordinators look like superheroes by helping them, enabling them with the strategy and the execution support to really allow them to produce real results for their organizations.
Thank you. So, I'm just curious, how did your business get started?
Great question. I've always been interested in marketing ever since I went through school, and I grew up in family business, and I just loved marketing. And I learned at an early age how effective marketing can really drive a business forward. You know, one of my favorite, one of the gurus that I follow, Joe Polish, he says, any problem in the world can be resolved with the right sales letter. In other words, if you get the right messaging, you can influence and you can move people to take action. And I always found that fascinating. So I grew up in family business, loved marketing. I've done a number of different entrepreneurial endeavors, but I started Tulip Media Group. It'd be about 8-10 years ago. And when we started Tulip Media, it was really, I designed a company that I would love to play in. Like it was one of those proverbial, you design a company that, or you design an organization that you would do for no pay. And that's what I did. And I designed Tulip Media as something, if I could have a playground, what would it look like? And that was, get into marketing, and just, it kind of snowballed and became this engine that's helping all kinds of clients all over North America. And it's been a lot of fun.
That's awesome. So you live by the "you never work a day in your life" mantra if you're doing something you love.
Exactly. If you truly enjoy what you're doing and you see a purpose, and for us, it's when one of our client partners says, "Oh my God, we had the best results with that last campaign. Let me tell you all about it." Or, "Oh my goodness, my boss just came into my office and can't believe, they're so happy and so proud of the traffic we're generating." And to know that the Tulip Media team has had a part of that and help them enable them to do that. I just love that. That excites me.
That is a good feeling when you've impacted the company. There's data proof of it. Feels good.
Yeah, exactly.
So today we're talking about marketing and sales and business development, and how you can integrate all of these elements into one thing for those tiny teams.
Exactly. When we look at how to be effective in marketing and sales, how to be effective in business development, in a lot of companies, and I'm sure a lot of your audience can relate to this, the organization invests a lot in a sales team, and they build out the salespeople and the sales manager and the sales people, the sales folks, with all the time and energy they put into nurturing clients and calling for prospects. And that's all well and good. But then what saddens me is marketing gets relegated to one office, one person, or maybe there's a small team and there's a few folks, and they give them the label of marketing manager. And essentially, what ends up happening is the marketing folks become a resource for the sales team.
Yeah.
and they're not strategically put on the same level, where we've proven time and time again that if marketing is done right, sales actually happens a lot easier. And so we've taken an approach, and we've kind of changed our approach and the way we look at it, even for our own organization. And I don't like to say there's marketing department and then sales department. The way I like to look at it, and the way we look at it here at Tulip, is that it's one business development department or one business development effort.
Yeah.
And sales and marketing, we started calling it Smarketing. And it's the combination, it's the integration of sales and marketing into one business development strategy that works.
Yeah.
So that's the way we look at it, is how does marketing and sales work together to increase business for an organization?
Yeah. So this leads really good into actually the podcast that just released on Sunday, episode 30. I talked to William Reddick, and we were talking about how marketing and sales can work together to support revenue and support sales, and what those initiatives should look like and how you should look together. And today we're taking that one step further with how to create this assembly line with your business development team, which is essentially Smarketing, marketing and sales.
Marketing, that's right. So I know you've seen the book. So we put everything, myself and my partner in crime, my co-author, Jessica Embry, and I at Tulip Media Group, we co-wrote a book called Double Sales, Zero Salespeople. And the idea is that you can double sales with adding no more salespeople to your organization if you get marketing right. So that you touch on the assembly line. So the metaphor that I use, and what we started off the book with, is that, if you look at the turn of the last century, Henry Ford did not invent the automobile. The automobile existed before Henry Ford. However, Henry Ford invented the assembly line that made the automobile affordable, brought great quality automobiles to the masses. Before Henry Ford, automobiles were made by craftsmen. The same person would, figure out the body of the vehicle, would add the tires and the wheels, would put in the chassis, would put in the engine, the interior, would, do everything, the body of the automobile. The same person would do the whole job front to back. And what you ended up having is great quality automobiles. However, there was inconsistency, but there was challenges, especially in the cost of the automobiles, because it was just not effective to do it that way. Henry Ford came along and said, you know what, we're going to have one person just lining up the chassis of the automobile. Another person at another station is going to put the axles on. Then another person is going to put the wheels on. Another person drops the engine in, another person, and he built the assembly line. And that allowed automobiles to be able to be produced very consistently with consistent quality, but very effectively and very efficiently. And that's when a lot of people adopted and bought automobiles because they could afford it. Well, when we look at our business development process, where we always start with new client partners at Tulip is that we start by talking through the customer journey and saying, okay, first of all, the very first, like what type of customers, what kind of clients are you looking for? What is your core customer? And we really take time to define that, not just who they are with the demographics and everything else, but understanding their wants, their needs, their pain points, what their internal problem is, what the external problems are. So there's a whole methodology behind this that our team has gotten really good at, and to truly understand who it is they're trying to go after. And then what is that prospect's customer journey every step along the way? And let's map that out. So the example I always use is our own example for confidentiality reasons and so on. But at Tulip Media Group, we have essentially an 8-step process. It starts with prospecting, finding new prospects. So prospecting leads. And it ends with signing a contract. And there's 8 steps there. Now, when you break it down between the 8 steps from, finding potential clients or finding a prospect list, to doing lead generation in step 2 to get their attention, to doing an intro call in step 3 to qualify them and see if, back and forth, to doing a product demo, getting them interested enough to learn about what our offerings are in step 4 and 5 and beyond. There's 8 steps in the whole customer journey. And that's where we start with client partners. Is at Tulip, we want to understand what are those steps, whether there's 6 steps, 12 steps, what are they? Now we go back and say, okay, how can we optimize each station, each step along that business development assembly line? Because that whole thing is like Henry Ford's assembly line, but this is a business development assembly line. And how can we optimize each step? First of all, one of my favorite books that inspired me was Justin Rothmars wrote a book called The Machine. And he talks about this assembly line, except for he doesn't call it that, but it is that process. And understanding that, the great example for people doing business development is oftentimes they have a salesperson, they hire salespeople, and their job is to prospect new potential clients, do the lead generation, do the qualifying, do the product demo, negotiate the pricing. That same person is responsible for everything right to the closed sale or the closed contract. However, given human nature, people have strengths and people have weaknesses. Everyone does. I have them. You have them. Everyone does. Everyone on this call does. And a big part of it is understanding where are their strengths. So, you think back to the Henry Ford's assembly line. Maybe I'm really not good at aligning axles because it's just not my talent, but I'm really good at finishing the trim. So I should be working at that station. I should not be doing the other one because someone else will be a natural genius there. Mm-hmm. The same thing in sales. I'll tell you, myself, I'm not really good at the early stage sales process because I'm a little bit more of an introvert. I don't necessarily connect. We have people on our team that connect really well with new folks. 5 minutes on a phone call with Erica or Jessica or Rob, they have a new bestie, right, on the phone call. I'm not that person. However, once they talk to them, engage with them, qualify them, they have that job in the assembly line. Then someone else is accountable for doing the product demos, mm-hmm. for showcasing. And the key there, actually a little tip, that shouldn't be a salesperson. Should not be a salesperson. It should be somebody in production, somebody who's passionate about whatever it is you're selling. We sell marketing. You want a marketing specialist doing your product demo. If you're selling construction and high-end home renovations, you want designers to do that part. And then, for instance, in our case, to finish off, what I was talking about, myself, I'm actually really good at closing. Our door openers are not good at closing deals. And you'll see that often in business too. So it should be somebody mm-hmm. different. So you want to look at your entire business development assembly line, figure out what are those stations. You want to optimize those stations. And then the last step is like Henry Ford, some of those stations become automated through in the automobile assembly lines, it's robotics. With us, it's leveraging digital marketing so that we can automate the first 2 or 3 or 4 or 5 steps of your business development assembly line. We could automate through digital marketing. And that's really where we make, like we said, marketing managers and coordinators really look like superheroes.
Yeah. So the customer journey that you described to me was the sales process. So where does marketing fit into this customer journey?
I would actually suggest that the whole assembly line process is the marketing and sales. So when I talk about a customer journey, I talk about when a company or organization spends a dime or a minute of effort on developing new sales. So whatever that might look like. So the marketing component mm-hmm. is everything we can automate. So with most of our client partners, and we at Tulip Media Group, we really do specialize with B2B companies that have an online to offline sales process. What I mean by that is whatever they're selling, whether it's commercial insurance or it's manufacturing or it's whatever, professional services, they have a process and we help them develop a strategy and a process where we leverage digital marketing to generate interest online and to have people come into their funnel at stage 3 or 4 or 5 in their business development assembly line in their sales process or marketing and sales process, what we call Smarketing. But we automate the first few steps of that, leveraging digital marketing strategies and tactics, so that, to give you a great example, we leverage, it's a whole process that we have at Tulip, but we leverage online conversion strategies for the website, getting really good at, so that when people land on the website, the right customers are taking the call to action, are doing what you want them to do, and the wrong ones kind of drop off. They self-select out of the process. So we work on that. We work on pay-per-click, on SEO. We work on, content marketing. We work on various tactics to get people into the funnel, to get people, the right people, interested in what the client partner is selling, the product or service. And then instead of, an insurance rep knocking on doors and making cold calls to generate new prospects, what we do is we enable them to walk into their office and say, hey, look, overnight, or last night or yesterday, 3 people booked phone calls in my calendar. Like, how fantastic is that for a company, as opposed to cold calling saying, when is your insurance policy renewing? Is there a chance that we could talk? No, instead we're reversing that, and we leverage digital marketing, really smart tactics, to have prospects reach out to them and say, hey, leveraging technology and calendars and so on, saying, hey, I can chat with you tomorrow at 3. How about we schedule a phone call then? And that makes a salesperson so much more effective at what they're doing.
Sounds like an ABM approach. Do you choose the accounts first and then start marketing and move them through the funnel?
When we do a deep dive to understand a company's core customer, we want to understand what are their challenges and pain points. And we actually leverage a lot of PPC, a lot of pay-per-click, a lot of content marketing. And also, we oftentimes, depending on the industry and the market, we will target customers with email lists, with emails, with specific messaging that will speak to that client. So, to give you an example, it's a different strategy all the time, but one of my favorite ones is a company that we work with that makes fire trucks, fire engines. So their average sale is $750,000. Mm-hmm. Not a small deal, right?
Not bad. No.
And what we found, they specialize in the smaller rural firehouses or fire stations. And the person that's making the decision is the fire chief. And quite often they have 2 fire trucks. Each one lasts for about 20 years. So on average, they're buying a new one every 10 years. Mm-hmm. So every time they do it, they need to re-educate themselves on the new technology, what's new out there. They need to educate themselves on how to write an RFP, how to actually do a purchase that will serve them and their community. So we actually position, in this case, this company as the resource that, if you need to buy a fire truck and you're not sure where to start, we give them templates of how to write an RFP. We give them articles about, the 5 most common mistakes that fire chiefs do when buying a fire engine and how to avoid them. We give them all of these assets and all of this knowledge and expertise, and we don't ask them, hey, you want to buy a fire truck? You should talk to us. Instead, we ask them, hey, you need to buy a fire truck? Let us educate you on how you should do it properly. And then leveraging the marketing, when you speak the language that touches them and meets them with where they're at, meaning I need to buy a fire truck. If I'm a fire chief, I haven't bought one in 8 years. I need to re-educate myself because I don't remember how I did it 8 years ago. Oh my goodness, I don't even know where to start. And you meet them with where they are at, connect with them, and then bring them along a journey. They're more apt to trust and they're more apt to buy. And this company went from a backlog of 8 months to a backlog of 2.5 years. Now their biggest challenge is manufacturing capacity. So it works beautifully, but you've got to get into the psyche and the thought process of your prospective client that you're trying to target.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, So using content marketing to build that know, like, trust factor. And the only way I know how to sell is through teaching. It's just teaching people how to solve their problems. And they're like, oh, she knows what she's talking about. Let's have her do it.
Exactly. And that all starts with truly understanding your customer. And most people want to skip over that because, I just need to listen, I'll sell to whoever. Let's just start marketing, right? That's the wrong approach because if you try to market to everyone, as you're not going to reach anyone.
Yeah. You talk to everyone, you talk to no one.
Exactly, Sarah. Yeah.
So you mentioned a little bit earlier how you optimize websites so it's easier to sell. Can you explain how you do that?
Sure. So there is a scientific way of doing that, and it is possible to do that. It does start with truly understanding your core customer, like I said, and I want to know who is the core customer, the demographics, male, female, what's the situation that they're in. But what I really want to understand is, what is their challenge, their biggest problem that they have? What is the enemy? What is the problem that they're trying to address? And then what is the external problem, and then the internal problem. So, just to give you an idea, I talked about the fire truck manufacturer, but with ourselves at Tulip Media, we used to think, our client partners, their biggest challenge is their competition, but it's really not. When we really analyzed it and thought about it, marketing managers and coordinators of mid-sized companies, large companies, their biggest fear, their biggest challenge is the biggest villain is not their competition. It's actually, we just call it Google, because if you need to be good at digital marketing, but you don't know where to start, that's where the villain is. That's where the challenge is. Marketing is confusing. It's difficult if you don't live it, if you're not in there every day and understanding how Google thinks and how how they can look upon you and see your website as an expert. So we truly want to understand the psyche and where the person is at in their own mind, in their own journey. And that's where you want to connect with them. And that's the messaging. Like on your website, there is a process that we follow. Once we understand the psyche and truly understand the core customer, then we can build the website messaging. When they land on your landing page, and oftentimes we don't edit the homepage, we edit a specific landing page that we point people to. But on the landing page or the homepage, first of all, it's got to pass the grunt test. In 3 seconds, they should know what your business does. And as you know, Sarah, there are hundreds of companies, probably thousands of companies out there. And you jump on their homepage, and you've got to dig further to figure out what they do.
What the hell do you do?
Exactly. So it's got to pass the grunt test. And then you want to get into the pain point. You want to get into the villain. Say, you know what? First of all, you land on Tulip Media's site. We will help marketing managers and coordinators look like superheroes by giving them the strategies and the execution support to actually produce real results. So that's what we do. And we talk about how, marketing is confusing. It's difficult. It's hard to understand. It's hard to get right. But we are here to help guide you and to help you become that marketing manager that can be a true hero for your company. And you want them to have the customer journey or the hero's journey. As a marketer, you want to just be the guide. It's Star Wars, they're Luke Skywalker, you're Yoda. They have the front stage. You're supporting them and helping them become a superhero or become the hero of the story. And in the messaging, it needs to talk to them where they're at now, what their fears are, what their pain points are, how you can help guide them, and what to do next. And, I saw a speaker one time and he said, he was up in front of doing a keynote. And he said, okay, for this part of the discussion, I want everyone to line up at the doors and we're going to go outside. So everyone follow me. And he got up and he started walking out, and people stood up, and, 200-300 people walked out of the room, went out on the street. He stood up on a box and he had a bullhorn. He said, people will go where you tell them to go.
Oh, that's good.
So then he walked back in. And in marketing, the messaging, oftentimes people want to tell everything about, this is about our company, about our values, about our different products, about this and that. And you can go in endless directions. But if you have clear, concise marketing that, first of all, is very clear about what you do, connects with that right audience, talks to them about how they can become the hero, you're the guide, and then guide them to the call to action. And guess what? There's only one call to action. There's not watch our videos or look at our products or, and there's 20 different options there. You will not guide them to what you want them to do. So there's one call to action. At the end of the day, depending on the company and what their needs are, it's book a call or book a demo or download this white paper and we'll get, or download this resource. But we're very clear on one call to action. And that call to action is when you go down through a well-designed landing page, that call to action may show up 5 times. And you have no other options but to take that call to action until you get to the very bottom. Then there might be other ways you can connect with them.
So this is for a landing page specifically, the one
for a landing page specifically, and that's where we start. And the way I always look at it with digital marketing, a lot of people start, they want to, I'll bring you more traffic to your website, or I'll increase your social engagements and all these things. But the way we measure success is the measurement of success is how many times we make a client partner's phone ring, how many times we have a contact form filled out from a prospect looking for more information, or how many times does a prospect book a meeting in one of your salespeople's calendar. That's the measurement of success. That's what you can take to the bank. And we start with the landing page, and oftentimes it is the home page, but sometimes it's not. But it is the landing page that we're going to send people to. And the metaphor, the comparison that I always give is that, if you were opening up a retail store, you wouldn't start advertising and inviting people to your retail store and then set up the shelves and merchandise the product and train your staff. No, you would set up the shelves, merchandise the product, train your staff, sweep off the front doorstep, and then you would invite people in. Mm-hmm. Well, we start there with your website, get your storefront optimized, and then we start inviting people in, and we're constantly tweaking and adjusting every week. But, that landing page, which is your storefront, needs to connect with that right audience, engage with them, bring them through a journey, and tell them what to do next. Be very, very clear. And it needs to be something tangible.
Are you a StoryBrand fan?
I am, yeah. It's very much aligned with behind StoryBrand, yeah.
Yeah, I love StoryBrand. I'm obsessed with it. It's so accurate. When I read that book on a flight, and I finished the entire thing going from Chicago to California. That's how good it was. One flight.
Yeah. So Don Miller's got it nailed with one part. But that is one step in that business development assembly line, but it's so critical, and people need to start there.
Yeah.
So we have several StoryBrand guides in our agency, and we leverage a lot of those tools. Then the Tulip team will look at that as the starting point, and then but even there, taking it one step further, like doing a really good competitive analysis and keyword strategy, so that you can connect the stuff. You can figure it out. There is a scientific way of doing it. And Google is such a great resource, because if you know how to use it well, it will tell you that people use this language. And we have several examples where we change, the insurance company. So we do a lot of residential, multi-unit residential insurance. And when we looked at it, nobody searches that. Nobody searches apartment building insurance, but people search landlord insurance. So one change of the word, all of a sudden, Google will tell you. And the interesting thing, in the next state, it was a different word. It was different language people were using. But Google will help tell you what language people are using, so that when they land on your website, you've got the messaging right, but you're also using the right keywords that they connect with it and say, yeah, these people get me.
Yeah.
And it could be just a small word change.
Yeah.
And but there is a scientific way of approaching that.
So it sounds like you do all elements of this journey, of the customer journey, from the strategizing the customer journey down to execution. Is that correct?
Yeah. So we'll help set up the strategy, launch it all. And that messaging is oftentimes the hardest part of creating a website, right? And we'll develop that strategy, and we will execute with the client partners involvement. We're very big on, we insist we won't take a new client partner on if they don't agree to our communication rhythm. So we are talking to them constantly. It's being tweaked the numbers are looked at, the metrics are looked at every week. It's being tweaked every week. And then we get into strategy every month and what we need to do, change, evolve, because the world evolves. It doesn't stand still. And like I said, we love it when the marketing manager or marketing coordinator comes back to us and says, oh my goodness, like the report card for December, our board or our president was so impressed with the results that we achieved, and we're driving sales up. We had one of our client partners just recently, is just fresh in mind. They had a goal of increasing their sales by 12%, increasing revenues by 12%. And she said, we had 27%.
That's awesome.
And she said, it's the inbound calls. So the one downside, we have to hire more salespeople to handle the calls. So that's a good problem.
Yeah, that sounds like a okay problem to have.
Exactly.
So how do you figure out those benchmarks and your measurements, and how do you actually measure it? What tools do you use?
Well, to figure out, like I said, we look at three things, and we have, and it's interesting because with our client partners, we even have our internal processes. We have internal dashboards that our client partners, we tell them all about it, but we look at the trends on those three things. How many phone calls did we generate for the client partner? How many contact forms did we have filled out by prospects for the client partner? Mm-hmm. And how many meetings did we book in their calendar through a platform like Calendly? And so those are the three measurements of success. And we measure the trends. And we have a short-term and longer-term trends. And as soon as there's a dip in the short-term trends, we're digging into it because we know within a few days that something changed. And we'll dive into it, figure it out, so we turn that trend around so that the long-term trend is always moving upward. And the way we look at it is that if there's a problem with someone's marketing, we want to know about it and fix it before they even notice there was a blip.
Yeah.
So those are the things that we measure. How we set targets is we have a good discussion with them ahead of time. We learn about what their marketing is generating. Sometimes it's zero, but sometimes they have a program going already. And it all depends on, what the market is, the size of the market. It is all over the map. I mean, we have our fire truck manufacturer who says, do not send me more than one lead a week. More than one lead a week, I cannot handle. So it's very different than, another insurance agency that, is, I think they're trending right now 220 qualified leads a week.
Wow. That's impressive.
Yeah. And it grew from before we started, they were doing their own digital marketing, and they had on average 66 leads a month to 220 leads per week. And what it is,
I'm impressed.
They have a big sales force, but more of their salespeople, they've grown it, but more of their salespeople are taking inbound leads instead of making 10 phone calls to get one that will talk to you. Now they wake up and there's 6 phone calls already booked in their calendar that day. So it's just made them so much more effective. So it all depends on the industry, but we set targets together. We set targets. It takes, a good first month to launch, second month to tweak, and third month, you're really starting to see results. And then it just keeps going up from there as we understand the customer deeper. We are able to convert. And the whole idea, when you put your messaging, when you have your messaging such that it really speaks and connects to the right people and really does not speak and does not connect to the wrong people, when it's a little bit polarizing like that, that's a beautiful thing, because then the right prospects will come through the funnel and engage with our client partners. And we know at that time that what we did for them at Tulip Media Group, we did the right thing and it's working for them and they're getting a return on their investment.
I like that you brought that up. I talk a lot about attract and repel, that it's okay to repel people. You don't want to attract everyone. You want to just attract the right people. It's a good thing when someone self-eliminates themselves.
You want to repel a lot of people, actually. I argue you repel lots of people. Repel anyone who is not a high prospect, a high quality and high value prospect, because your salespeople, that's your most expensive resource. If you can have automated sales and messaging strategies in your marketing, in your outbound marketing, and in your website that will eliminate, I always say that, I've always been clear. And in the book, I talk about how I really don't care how much traffic we get to our website. I really don't care how many Facebook likes we have or, social media engagements we get. What I care about is how many times does our phone ring, people fill out contact forms and keep meetings in our calendars who are high quality. And that comes through a really good strategy where you're truly understanding the client that you're going after, the prospect you're going after, getting that messaging on your website so you have a process to engage with the right people, repel the wrong people, and then you start trying to invite as many of those right people into the sales funnel as you possibly can.
So you talked about internal dashboards. Do you have separate dashboards for yourself, for your team, and for the client?
100%. Yep. We do. Every Thursday, we send dashboards to our clients. And actually, every dashboard is different because every client's different. And people want to see different things. So we'll customize the dashboard to that client. So they're looking at their progress every week with some notes. We touch everyone with some notes of what we're tweaking and some things that they might need to do on their end. So they are seeing a dashboard every week and seeing the trends, but we just see every Monday it's updated. Monday, 9:30, we're reviewing if there's short-term downward trends. And then we correct those so that their trends, they're always looking at the climb and their traffic, their lead generation, going up and to the right in a consistent basis.
Do you use Google Data Studio for your dashboards?
I know she did. You know what? I'm not the technical person on that front. Sarah, that's a good Jessica Embry question, my co-author. She wrote the technical side of the book. I believe she does. Yeah, she does use Google Studio for a lot of things. Yeah, and for our dashboards, for our client partners, she does. But then she uses another platform to do the monthly, we call them report cards. And it's something that's a simple one-page graphic of the key metrics that's important to that company that the marketing coordinator can take to his or her boss to show, okay, here's what marketing is doing. Here were the results for last month, and here's what we're planning for next month. So she used a different platform for that, but that's a technical question that's above my pay grade.
Yeah, I was just curious. It's the only platform I can think of that you can integrate multiple, like Calendly and your search console and all of that onto one dashboard. So
she does use that because I get them for our own company, and they are the Data Studio dashboards. But she uses a different one for the monthly report cards. So.
Now, is there anything that you wanted to touch on that we didn't get a chance to?
This was very thorough. This was one of the better interviews I've done, Sarah. I really enjoyed this. And, I would say that, the big thing is to be strategic, to think through the customer journey, because so many companies out there will bring in some of the right leads, but they lose them through the process. So you've got to think about every step along the way. And another tip that I always recommend is when you have it set up, be your own company's customer. In other words, you're a marketing director at a company, set everything up, go onto your website and put yourself in the frame of mind. Okay, I'm a prospect, I'm Jane Doe, I run this type of company and I'm looking for this service. So go on your website and fill out your own contact form, or better yet, book a meeting with one of your own salespeople, and see how the process goes and actually test it out. Your own customer.
I like that idea. Yeah, then you can really see firsthand how that journey is going. Before we wrap up, I'm curious how you do your research and your strategy on discovering that customer journey in the first place.
A lot of it is through consultation with the client partner. So when we do a launch, we always say, the first 2 weeks, we need you for, depending on what they're doing exactly, we need you for so many hours. And we require that because a lot of people we found in the early days said, okay, I want to go ahead, But, what do you need? Just send me a list of what you need and I'll have Johnny get it for you. No, that doesn't work. We need to sit, and oftentimes we like to sit with the founders if we can to understand, they're the ones with the deepest knowledge about why they got into business. So we want to understand the soul and the purpose behind the company. But then we talk to the marketing coordinator. We often talk to salespeople, to truly get a real understanding of their core customer. And we talk it through with them a great deal. And then we do a lot of research. We do a competitive analysis. We always ask, who are the two competitors you run into mostly? Oh, it's ABC company and XYZ company. Okay, great. We'll get those two names. Then who are two aspirational competitors? Who are two people in your industry? They may not even be in the same state or the same province if you're in Canada, but who are two companies that you look up to? And we want to get those names. And then we'll do a competitive analysis, and we leverage platforms that we use to get intel into what are the organic search terms? Why are people going to their website? So we truly understand what's driving people to your direct competitors and those aspirational competitors' websites to see what we can learn. And then we'll do the same for client partner as well. Let's learn about your website. And oftentimes the results are fairly dismal, which I equate to all opportunities. So this is good. We can do a lot of changes. And that goes into helping us develop that keyword strategy. And that can drive a lot of opportunities, because we've so many times, we search a marketplace for different keyword strategies, and we will give the client partners good ideas on content, because they'll say, oh, we should write articles about this new product line that's out in the industry. We say, well, you should. Oh, yeah, but don't spend a lot of time there, because do you know over here's 8 different topics that nobody's writing about, but are being searched an awful lot in your marketplace. Let's write topics on those, and that'll get business today. Whereas the other one might be more of a long-term strategy, and we talk all of that through. So, we leverage a number of different platforms, a number of different strategies, but it's a lot of discussion with the client partner to truly understand their customer's journey as best we can. And then once we start with them, we'll often even talk to the customers and ask, is there a customer or two that are friendly, that would be willing to have a 15, 20-minute conversation, so that we could ask them, what was your experience going through the customer journey? And what were any of the stumbling blocks or the pain points through the process? What really worked? What really attracted you to this company? So that we can get a really good understanding of why people buy from our client partner.
I have found that customer interviews are the most important part of a messaging and a content strategy. They are the only ones who can really tell you why they were attracted to you in the first place, how they found you, what their journey was like. So many people are afraid of talking to their customers in that way, but they're more than happy to. If they were happy working with you, they're happy to help you.
Yeah, 100%. And they're such a resource, and they're right there. Yeah. I agree.
All right. Can you tell me what channels that people can find you on and how they can work with you?
Sure. Well, I'm on LinkedIn. We're on Facebook. We're on Instagram. We're on all the normal channels. But the best way, honestly, is we have a landing page set up for your listeners, and it's at tm.media/double sales, like the book.
Okay.
tm.media/double sales. And there, folks can download a free chapter of the book. They can buy the book if they'd like to, or you can learn a little bit more about Tulip Media Group. And one of the offerings we have there is myself and my coworker. There's a link there. And if you wanted to talk about your own marketing strategy or your own marketing challenges, you can book a free, and we invite all of the listeners to book a free half-hour phone call. And you can do it through there, leveraging Calendly. So it's nice and easy. And you can book that call right through that landing page as well.
Okay, perfect. Thank you so much for joining me. I really enjoyed this conversation. It was a wealth of information.
I really enjoyed it was a great conversation, and love chatting with folks who really understand marketing and appreciate all that marketing can do for a company.
Yeah, you found a really great way of tying together sales, business development, and marketing into one assembly line. And that's truly how it should be. I'm going to have to pair your podcast with episode 30 so people can see how it all works together. So oftentimes a boxing match between the two, and it doesn't have to be.
Yeah. And it's not nearly as effective when that happens.
No. Here's your call to action. Talk to sales. Hold a stakeholder meeting where you can get the insights from sales and other client-facing staff so you can get a better idea of the customer journey, their challenges, and what success looks like to them. After doing this, you're going to see a massive change in your marketing. It will be so much more effective. Trust me. In my experience, a stakeholder workshop is always better with a facilitator. I run the Marketing Mad Libs workshop, a private workshop for corporations that bring together your stakeholders and get you a brand messaging and marketing plan on a page in 90 minutes. Head to the show notes page to schedule your free 15-minute fit call. Let's do some magic together. Last, go to sarahnoelblock.com/tinymarketing/ep43 to find all resources mentioned in this episode, an article, and more about Andy. And remember to rate, review, and tell a friend about the Tiny Marketing Show. See you next time, friends.